Dear students of the third prep grade, and welcome to a new episode of our program. This is our weekly episode of science, and on this episode we'll be studying lesson 1 of unit 3, the main principles of heredity, with our teacher of science, Mr. Muhammad Mahmoud. Hello, Mr. Muhammad, and welcome to the program.
Hello, yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, and of course we'll be receiving your phone calls on our phone number 257-562-187. So if you've got any questions, do give us a call. All right, Mr. Muhammad, let us first begin by defining genetics. What is meant by genetics?
Genetics. So, hello, dear students. Today we have a new lesson, a first lesson in Unit 3 about the genetics, and we will study here a new type or a new branch in science today. What is meant by genetics? Genetics, which means a branch of science that studies the transfer of hereditary traits from one generation to another. How these traits are transferred or transmitted from parents to the offspring, and from the offspring to another generation, and so on. So here we have to mention the concept of hereditary, and firstly we will know what is meant by genetics. So the meaning of genetics, as we see here, genetics which means what? Number one, branch of science, okay, that study the transferring of traits which means characters, traits يعني الصفات, from one generation to another. So here we talk about what? We talk about the genetics according to the definition here, and we know genetics is what? As we see here, genetics is a science or branch of science here, as we see, study the transferring of traits here, or the صفات يعني, or characters, from one generation to another generation, as you see in front of you. Okay.
Who is the founder of heredity?
As a founder here, we talk about the godfather of genetics. If you talk about the godfather of genetics, his name is Theodor Mendel.
Yeah.
Is a monk, Austrian monk, try to يعني conduct his experiments.
Austrian Nimsawi.
Nimsawi, not Australian, yes.
Yeah.
And make or conduct his experiments about pea plant, and we will know why. Especially, he conduct these experiments or research about the pea plant.
Yeah. Okay.
So now we talk about the genetics, and we know the definition of genetics. So we will know now the kinds of traits. As we see here, we have many kinds of traits, or two main kinds of traits. So the first kind of traits, as we will see here, we have traits, as we see, صفات يعني. We have two kinds of traits. Number 1 and number 2. We have, as we see, dear students, we have hereditary traits, which means وراثية, and we have acquired traits.
So the hereditary traits are the ones that pass from one generation to another.
Yes. So if we talk about hereditary traits, we talk about any trait in your body.
Yeah.
Maybe appear or doesn't appear, it's not our issue now. We talk about any trait, أي صفة, maybe appear or doesn't appear. That's not our يعني main focus in this point now. But any trait transferred from one generation to another is called hereditary traits, like color of eyes, color of hair, tallness, shortness, number of fingers, color of skin, kind of hair, straight hair or curly hair. Any trait you inherit from your parents or maybe from your grandfathers or grandma and grandfather in your family. Any trait transfer.
It may not appear in one generation, but it may appear in the next generation.
One, yes.
Yeah.
So here we talk about acquired trait, another trait that not transmitted from one generation to another, like playing football, drawing, learning or studying any language or type of skills. Here we talk about acquired traits, which means مكتسبة, which means doesn't transfer or not transferred or transmitted from one generation to another, ما بتتنقلش من جيل لجيل. Like drawing, walking, we try to learn walking. احنا ما بنتولدش بنمشي. Any trait as skills here as acquired traits is not transferred or transmitted from one generation to another. So as we see here, we have two kinds of traits. Number one, hereditary traits as transfer or transmitted from one generation to another. Okay, and acquired traits هنا as we see for hereditary traits like eyes, color or skin color and so on. So here we have acquired traits, which means not transmitted or can't be transmitted from one generation to another. يبقى can't be transmitted, مش هتتنقل from one generation to another. Like what? Like walking, for example, walking, like drawing, like writing, like speaking. All these traits are called acquired traits. And we have
the environment here can play a part as well.
Yes, the surrounding environment as your مثلا, for example, temperature, the place you was born in it. Maybe you have two brothers, one of them in USA and one of them in Egypt. Each one of them will talk another and different language, has different habits in his life.
Yeah.
So here we talk about the acquired traits as completely different than inherited traits أو hereditary الوراثية. So if we talk about the hereditary traits, الصفات اللي هي بتتنقل أو transfer from one generation to another, as we see.
This is what we're going to focus on.
Yes, as hereditary traits.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we have number one, we have dominant traits, dominant traits, and we have recessive traits. Recessive traits. So how can we differentiate between dominant and recessive traits? Both of them are what are acquired traits, dominant or recessive. So here we have dominant, which means what? صفة قوية سائدة زي ما بيقولوا بالعربي.
مهيمنة مسيطرة.
مسيطرة تمام. يبقى dominant trait, as we say here, we can say dominant trait, trait appears if the gene is pure or hybrid. What is meant by hybrid here? Hybrid, which means not pure, معناها هجين. Yes, مهجن. Hybrid. يبقى dominant trait appears if the gene is pure or hybrid. While the, like for example, يعني if we get examples here from pea plants, tall stem, yellow seeds, red flowers. Like واحد يقول لي yellow seed is dominant trait in pea plant. بنبات البسلة ال dominant trait is yellow seed, but we get pea plant before it becomes mature, قبل ما بتنضج، عشان كده بيبقى احنا شايفينها لونها اخضر، انما هي لونها الطبيعي لما بتستوي طبعا احنا ما بناكلهاش وهي مستويه، بناكلها خضراء بيبقى لونها اصفر. يبقى yellow seed هنا tall stem, yellow seed, red flower and green pod here, which means the cover of seeds, are dominant traits. Why? Give reason for all, because this trait appears if the gene is pure or hybrid. While we have another side in hereditary traits as recessive traits here, which means traits appears if the gene is pure only. Is pure what? Only. Like what? Like short stem, like green seeds, like white flower, like yellow pods, and so on. As we see here, dear students, we have dominant traits and we have recessive traits. As we see, we have tall stem. Here we have short stem. We have yellow seeds. We have green seeds. We have red flower. We have white flower. We have green pod. We have yellow pod. So we have dominant trait and we have on the other side as recessive trait, and we can differentiate between them. How can we differentiate between them? According to symbols, رموز يعني.
Which is more dominant, red or white?
Red flower.
Flower.
Yes, we talk about what species?
Not club.
Not club. No. In Egypt, we have red club as Ahli and Zamalek. We talk about red is dominant in pea plants. Yeah. And maybe dominant, not maybe 100%. Yeah. I'm from Ahli fan, but I respect Zamalek also.
Yeah, sure.
And congratulations for both of them in African. Yes, Nile education for Nile sports. Okay, so here we have, dear students, as we talk about the dominant trait as example here. And recessive traits.
Can we receive a phone call now?
Okay, sure.
We've got Alia on the phone. Hello, Alia, how are you?
How are you, Mr. Yasser? How are you, Mr. Muhammad?
Hello, Alia, how are you?
Hello?
Yes, Alia, fine, thanks. All right.
Yeah, I have two questions.
Yeah, okay.
You are welcome.
Okay, is there any difference between the electric resistance and the resistance of a conductor?
Electric resistance and the resistance of the conductor?
Yes. Is there a difference between them?
No, both of them is the same. Resistance here, which means the conductor, according to its length and according to the cross section of the conductor.
Yes.
As rheostats.
Yeah, that's the resistance or the electric resistance?
Both of them is right. Electric resistance, which means resistance, like electric current intensity or current intensity.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. Your other question, Alia?
Yes. In the when he asked me if I had the 3 batteries and I want to connect them so that I would get 1.5 volts.
Each one of them has how many electromotive force?
Yeah, I know. no, it's just an example. I want in the shape of the connection. Will I make it in the form of ohm circuit, or just connect the batteries and connect them to each other?
If we connect them parallel, here we talk about parallel and series.
Yeah, I connected them in series. Then in the circuit.
Yes.
Will I put a key and a rheostat and things like this, or just leave them?
Yes. So here, if we have a highest electromotive force, but remember we have not highest. Yani these batteries has highest electromotive force to operate a huge device.
Yes.
Okay, but at the same time, not by high electric current intensity.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have another site or another type here. If we connect them parallel here, we connect them to minimize electromotive force, but the electric current intensity is high. So in series in parallel connection between me and you, yani not in our syllabus. In parallel connection, the electric current or the dry cells here will run out fastly. تخلص بسرعة.
يس بس يعني انا بتكلم عن الكونكشن لما يجي لي السؤال هحط في الكونكشن في السيركت هحط كي وريوستات ولا هعمل بس الباتريز واروح موصلهم
باتريز اونلي
يعني طب اكملهم ولا اسيبهم كده بس؟
لا باتريز لايك بصي على المونيتور كده معايا
مع حضرتك
بوزيتيف We connect them like what now?
Parallel?
Parallel, like that and like that.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
Just like that. If we connect them in series, we connect them like that.
Yeah, okay.
Just simple figure like that. Positive, negative. Bas. Not more.
Yes.
You understand, Alia, now?
Yes, I understood.
Okay.
Any other question?
I wanted to be asked.
You want to be asked? Okay.
Okay. If we talk about for example, red or white flower is dominant in pea plants.
The red flower.
Okay. Give reason for why red flower is dominant over the white flower.
Why?
Why? Give reason.
Because it dominates. يعني أنا فاهمها بس مش عارفة أقولها.
عارفة؟ لو انت كنت متابعانا فولو. طيب لو بصيتي على اللي قدامك كده على التلفزيون بصي كده dominant trait appears if the gene is ايه؟
It's dominant.
لا بصي انت بص على
it's pure or hybrid.
So it's dominant. Why? Because this gene or this trait appears if the gene is a.
If the gene is pure or hybrid.
This trait will appear.
Will appear, yeah.
But recessive trait appears only if the gene. Yes.
So that's the answer.
Yes. If give reason for, not what is meant by.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Alia. You are welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Alia. You're a regular caller.
Yes.
And we're very happy each time you call us. Okay. So let us carry on. What are we going to have now?
We have to differentiate according to the dominant and recessive traits according to the symbols.
Yeah.
Because maybe most of students have some mistakes to illustrate by symbols that the kind of traits. يعني for example here يعني لو أنا كتبت كده dominant trait as on the monitor please tall T capital okay and هنا بكلم على tall يبقى هنا tall T capital short T small. If you talk about مثلا red flower R capital white flower
small.
R small.
So the capital letter means it is dominant.
Dominant, and the recessive letter or small letter here is which means recessive, but the small letter becomes from the capital letter of what? Of dominant traits.
Yeah.
Like example here, مثلا yellow pod, Y capital, green pod, yellow seed. Y capital. Yellow seed is dominant, and we have here Y small, which means what? Green seeds. R small, which means white flower. T small, which means short stem.
We have M capital.
What's M capital here?
Mariam on the phone.
Mariam.
Hello, Mariam. Mariam?
Hello?
Hi, Mariam. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So, you've got any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, your question, Mariam.
What happens when
What happens when?
the ammeter and voltmeter
When a meter
and voltmeter readings
and
Voltmeter.
voltmeter,
readings
Reading?
voltmeter reading
used in verifying
use
in verifying
in define
in verifying verify
briefing or briefing. Yes.
yes
Yes.
in verifying verifying
Refined
verify
to prove, which means to prove.
verify
Okay. Okay. What?
Ohm's law
Ohm's law.
if the resistance is burned
If the resistance
is burned
is
burned
burnt, or maybe spoiled. You maybe find this question again, but with what? Spoiled instead of burnt. We have the same answer here. So here, which means the resistance will burn. Okay? صح؟
Okay.
طيب. We know R equal what? Mariam, R equal what?
V over I.
V over I.
Yes.
So, if resistance is burnt, which means the wire is cut, صح?
صح.
So, we have potential difference.
No.
We have no
Zero.
potential difference.
Yes.
We have electric current intensity,
لا zero was.
zero. So, the reading of a meter and voltmeter, مش voltmeter على فكرة يا مريم، اسمه voltmeter. Voltmeter, another device used to analyze water in second prep. You studied before. Voltmeter, it's their reading will become how many?
Zero.
Zero. Okay, Mariam?
Okay.
You understand? You have another question?
No, thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mariam. You are welcome.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mariam. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay.
يبقى here we have to understand the difference between dominant and recessive. So we should know why Mendel, the godfather of genetics, الأب الروحي لعلم الوراثة, try to use the pea plant, نبات البسلة, specially to conduct his experiment. And we will know this point here is a give reason. Give reason for Mendel chosen the pea plant to conduct his experiment. يعني اختار نبات البسلة بالذات عشان
Can I
ينفذ.
say one reason?
Yes.
Because they might multiply in a short period of time?
Yes, excellent. Yes, sir. Because it has, number one, short life cycle, grow fast, produce a large number of individuals. يعني بيطلع لي محصول كتير في وقت قصير. Number four has contrast traits. Contrast traits. Tall, short, yellow seed, green seed, green pod, yellow pod, red flower, white flower, and so on. smooth seeds, wrinkled seeds. smooth pod, wrinkled pod. يعني الصفة عكسها فواضح جدا. So very clear to differentiate between any traits. يبقى number 1 short life cycle, grow fast, produce a large number of individuals or offspring. Number 4 has contrast traits. Number 5, the flower is hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite, which means bisexual. Male and female exist in the same flower. So this flower can make self-pollination. As we studied before in second prep, زي ما خدنا في تانية إعدادي. This flower can make self-pollination. And at the same time, this flower able to make artificial pollination by interaction of human. So Mendel can interact in the pollination and can let the pea plant or pea flower make an artificial pollination or self-pollination by itself. So we have 5 main reasons here to choose the pea plant in this experiment. Let's go to write it on the monitor.
It was a right decision.
Yes. So here we have number 1, give reason for. As we see here, Mendel chosen the pea plant to conduct his experiment. But we know now Mendel chosen the pea plant اشمعنى يعني to conduct his experiment. أقول له number 1 grow fast, comma أو and has short life cycle. Number 2 contrast traits يعني صفات متضادة. Number 3 produce large number of offspring. offspring هنا معناها generation. Number 5 أو number 4 flower is bisexual, which means hermaphrodite يعني can make self pollination. And last one here is number 5 flower able the artificial pollination. Okay?
Yeah.
So we have 5 reasons, main reasons here to choose the pea plant in his experiment.
Yeah, we've got a caller.
Okay.
All right. The mother of Basmala.
ايوه مساء الخير يا فندم.
مساء الخير، اهلا وسهلا بحضرتك.
اهلا بيك معايا سؤالين بس مستر من فضلك.
اتفضلي حضرتك.
السؤال الاول what happen when living organism
What
living organisms
happens
yeah.
when living organism
when living organism
is excused
is what?
excused.
Can you complete the question? كملي لي الآخر طيب.
very high temperature or X-ray.
Is exposed to very
high
temperature
or X-ray.
or X-rays. Okay.
السؤال الثاني من فضلك give reason.
Give reason for. Okay.
The importance of induced
Importance of
Importance.
what?
induced
Induced. Yes, induced.
mutation.
Mutation. Yes.
ميرسي لحضرتك جدا.
العفو تحت أمرك.
ميرسي شكرا مع السلامة.
So here we have the two questions from the next lesson, but we will answer them now. If living organism is exposed to very high temperature or X-ray, in this case the living organism will the spontaneous mutation will happen, because we will study later. We have two kinds of mutation according to the origin. Spontaneous mutation without interaction of human, by X-ray, by very high or low temperature, by chemical substances. So if we listen here to any question and contains high temperature or X-ray, we talk about spontaneous what? Mutation. If we have another question here like that, the importance of induced mutation. Induced mutation takes place by the interaction of human, تدخل الإنسان, to obtain the desirable
results.
traits, عشان أطلع صفات traits مرغوبة, desirable traits. Like for example for example here we can say seeds, or بلاش seeds, all fruits without seeds. Try to think with me, fruit without seeds, like watermelon without seeds. Better in taste. Number 3, large in size. In what? In size. So the importance of induced mutation here, and we know why the induced mutation, by the effect or by the interaction of human. Okay, let's go to return back to why Mendel chose the pea plant to conduct his experiment. We know 5 reasons.
Can we just have this call first?
Okay.
Salma? Hello, Salma.
Hello, Mr. Yusuf, how are you?
Oh,
Hello,
fine,
Mr. Muhammad.
thanks.
Hello, Salma. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes.
I have a question about the process you have just explained.
Expoiled.
No, the process just explained that's the reason why Dürder Mendel have tried pea plant for his experiments.
Yes, you have 5 reasons here.
Yeah, I have just a small explaining about the reason why the flowers are hermaphrodite. So he wanted it to be self-pollinated, and at the same time, he cut the stamen for the flowers to be not self-pollinated. He wanted it to be artificially pollinated. How?
We have 2 questions here.
Yeah, I just can't understand it.
Yes, number one. Mendel, if any flower is hermaphrodite, which means has bisexual male and female in the same flower, okay?
Okay.
So this flower can make self-pollination by itself. Mendel make a great step in his experiment. Cover all flowers. Cover all what?
Flowers.
Flowers. Why? To obligate. Make what?
Not to be self-pollinated?
To self-pollination. Several times.
Yeah.
To be sure from the purity of the trait. And
Yeah.
give reason. Mendel make or let the pea plant make self-pollination several times. Why?
To be sure the purity of the trait.
Yes, to be sure from the purity of the trait. Okay?
Well,
Then Mendel cut stamens or cover the carpels. طبعا we know the stamens is male and the carpels are female.
Female.
Cut the
Okay.
stamens of some plants or flowers and cover the carpels of other. To make what?
Not to make a self-pollination, to be
What?
beneficial.
Cross-pollination.
Cross, yeah.
Cross-pollination, to know what is dominant and what is recessive
Recessive.
traits. You know now?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, Salma, you have another question?
No, thank you.
Thank you. You are welcome, Salma.
Okay, thanks a lot, Salma.
Salma,
Have we
sir.
answered the second question of Basmala's mother?
Yes, you have two questions and we answer both of them. So here we have, as we see, dear students, we have why Mendel let the pea plant make several times self-pollination, as Salma asked us from few seconds, to be sure from the purity of the trait. يبقى أول حاجة Mendel let the pea plant make several times self-pollination. يعني each flower by itself. عشان to be sure، عشان يتأكد this trait is pure. Purity of the trait. يتأكد إن الصفة دي صفة نقية. Then cut stamens of some flowers or cover the carpels of other flowers to obligate them عشان يجبرهم بقى. Make what? Cross pollination. Cross pollination. After these two steps, Mendel has to know two laws. Mendel's first law, Mendel's second law. First law is called the law of segregation, قانون العزل. And second law is called the law of independent assortment, independent factors. Let's go to compare between the two Mendel's law. Number one, as we see here, Mendel's first law اسمه law of segregation. law of segregation معناه ايه بقى الرول ده بقى؟ بصوا بقى when two individuals are pure and contrasts in one pair of traits, in one pair of what? Of traits. In the first generation, the dominant trait will appear with 100%, and in second generation the two traits appear with ratio 3:1. 3 dominant, 1 recessive. Okay? So, when the two individuals are pure and contrast in one pair of traits, خلي بالنا في conditions. We have conditions here to illustrate the law. Two individuals are pure and contrast in what? In one pair of traits. In the first generation, dominant trait will appear with 100%, and in second generation the two traits will appear with ratio 3:1. Okay? طيب ده Mendel's first law. واحد يقول لي طب Mendel's second law is law of independent assortment. Second law. اهو نكتبه كده. Mendel's second law is called law of independent assortment. اوكي. طيب على فكرة we can say the first Mendel law. Why? How come? أقول له بصوا بقى. When two individuals are pure, okay, and contrast, and we will change one pair of traits with two or more. With two or more pairs of traits instead of one. هو قال كده في السكند law. In the first generation, dominant trait will appear. هي اللي هتكسب with 100%. In second generation, the two traits will appear with ratio not bad. We will change what? 3 to 1 into 9 to 3 to 3 to 1. واحد يقول لي we know now if we simplify 9 to 3 to 3 to 1 divided 3, it will change again into 3 to 1. So the law of independent assortment here, law of independent assortment, like the law of segregation, but we will change one trait, one pair of traits. Instead, we will use it two or more pairs of traits. Okay? And in the second generation, instead of 3 to 1, 9 to 3 to 3 to 1. Okay.
All right, and we've got Mrs. عزة on the phone. أهلا بحضرتك.
اهلا بحضرتك يا فندم. مساء الخير.
مساء الخير.
انا كنت حابه اتواصل بس مع المستر، كان عندي 3 questions عشان بنتي.
اتفضلي. مع حضرتك المستر.
ميرسي. مستر كان في 3 اسئله عندي. give reason for.
give reason for. تمام.
tall stem is dominant.
tall stem.
tall stem is dominant trait.
is dominant trait.
while short stem.
while
recessive أكيد.
Yes, excellent answer. Short stem
is recessive.
is reserved.
is recessive. Yes.
trait.
trait. Yes.
كمان في number 2 pancreas.
pancreas. Yes.
is a double function.
pancreas is
double function.
double
function.
functions.
gland.
Okay.
Glands.
Number 3. Sometimes the amount.
Number 3. Sometimes
the amount.
تمام. of thyroxine.
thyroxine.
تمام. A hormone decreases in blood.
hormone decreases in the blood.
تمام. ميرسي جدا.
العفو عليك.
شكرا لحضرتك يا مدام عزة.
Tall stem is dominant. I think like question similar to question of Alia or Salma. Here we have dominant trait and recessive trait. Dominant trait because it appears if the gene is pure or hybrid. And recessive trait يعني صفة متنحية أو صفة ضعيفة because it appears if the gene is pure only. عشان كده صفة ضعيفة. Number 2. Pancreas is double function gland. طبعا البنكرياس ليه وظيفة مزدوجة زي ما بيقول السؤال هنا. أقول له because when glucose increases in blood, it secretes insulin to change it into glycogen in liver ويتخزن في الكبد. And at the same time, if glucose decreases, لو السكر decreases in blood، السكر قل في الدم during fasting مثلا واحد صايم او حاجه، it secretes glucagon. الجلوكاجون يعني makes what؟ glucagon هرمون change glycogen into glucose again، يرجع الجلايكوجين لجلوكوز. يبقى البنكرياس has a double functions gland او is a double functions gland because when glucose increases in blood it secretes insulin to change it into glycogen in liver, but when glycogen او glucose decrease it change glycogen into glucose. Last question, why thyroxine hormone decreases in blood? Due to decreasing of iodine in food. Due to decreasing of iodine in food. الأكل ناقص فيه iodine، ودي إجابة question number 3 due to decreasing of iodine in foods.
Okay, our time is up. Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed Mahmoud, for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Yasser.
So that brings us to the end of this episode. وما تنسوش القعدة الساعة 6 صباحا، وكمان تنضموا لنا لجروب برنامجنا على الفيسبوك مدرسة على الهواء ابتدائي وإعدادي. النهارده بالليل الساعة 9 في حلقة مهمة في حديث التعليمية عن كيفية المذاكرة والتغلب على مشكلات المذاكرة. أتمنى أن أنتم كلكم تتابعوها. Thank you all for watching and see you again. Goodbye.